साधकों के चिंतनों में मेरी आस मेरे श्वास तुझ में ही समाए। साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए, प्रकाशित हृदय में ईश्वर। हृदय में ईश्वर भक्त के समाए। साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए, साचा रूप साचा रंग।
भवतु सहनौ पुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Understand you had small GD last time. We can start the big GD.
Group 1, I was the monitor and the questioner, and the other members were Taruna, Surekha, and Meera. The question was, do animals have an intellect? The answer was no consensus. Reason couldn't agree on whether the actions of animals which appear to be driven by reason is a result of their instinct or intellect.
Okay, very good. I mean, very good that you were able to identify what was the problem. So, now that we all know why there was a disagreement, we can also understand how would you have sorted this disagreement out. So, can anyone suggest how, now we know why they could not reach a consensus, which is great. So how could we have sorted it out? You see, can you put that slide back on, Mahesh? The actions of animals which appear to be driven by reason is a result of their instinct or intellect. The actions of animals which appear to be driven by reason is a result of their instinct or intellect. So when you say they appear to be driven by reason, anything, anyone? Is a result of their instinct or intellect. Okay, so let's understand the way to go about it. The logical way to go about it is to define our terms. Actions of animals which appear to be driven by reason. So are you using the word intellect and reason synonymously? In which case, if you are using it synonymously, then is a result of their instinct or intellect doesn't make sense. Are you with me?
No, but it's appear to be, not is driven.
Okay, fine. But the word reason itself, are you using it synonymously with intellect?
Yes, it appears to be from the intellect.
So you can't say, is it instinct? If it appears to be from the intellect, is it a result of intellect or instinct? That doesn't make sense, right? So what you could have said is, okay, so why don't we define intellect? That's the easier way to go about it. Intellect means what? Give me intellect, another word for intellect.
The power of discrimination.
One word, Surekha. Correct, say that word.
Discrimination.
Discrimination, very good. So, do intellects have discrimination? If that be your question, then the answer has to be yes. Because can the animal not distinguish between a stranger and, like a dog, can a dog not distinguish between a stranger and his master? Between what is food, what is not food? Between who is a mate, who is not a mate? They are able to do that, right? So when you say driven by reason, you're meaning more than discrimination, right? Okay, can remove it now. Mahesh, thank you. So when you're saying reason, you're meaning more than that. You're talking, what is reason and what is discrimination? Discrimination is the capacity to tell one thing apart from the other. What is reason? A series of such. Correct. You have to constantly go on making a series, and then you have reasons. So can you say that animals have reason? Is very different from saying, do animals have discrimination? Animals have basic discrimination, rudimentary discrimination, they do have, but they can't do some elaborate reasoning. So when we're saying discrimination, that's the base. Okay, so the answer to the question is yes, animals have discrimination. They can tell two things apart. But if you say even that is instinct, then you will have to say humans also do that by instinct. Then you'll be making no difference. Right?
That's where the thing happened, is like, if that's, then what we humans do will also be just termed as instinct, not intellect.
Yeah, then everything will become instinct. Then it will become a pointless question. So therefore, do we say animals have intellect? Yes, rudimentary intellect.
Oh,
But they don't do any higher level reasoning.
also, another point was that different animals have different grades of the intellect. For example, crows and orcas, which do like team strategies and all that, have intellect, like basically like how a 2-year-old child will make strategies.
A crow has 3 years, 3-year-old.
Yes. So like different animals have different grades of the intellect.
Right. But do they have intellect at all? Yes, you have to say yes. They have the answer is yes, they have a rudimentary intellect. But they do not have high reasoning capacity, higher reasoning capacity.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Surekha?
So the argument also was that do they have an intellect or are they intelligent?
Well, now there's a third one. There's instinct, intellect, and intelligence. Intelligence only means information. So can they gather information? Yes, they can gather information. Then based on that information, can they do discrimination? Yes, they can do discrimination. So intelligence only means how much information you have, right? And instinct is, it plays the largest part of this. In their life, it is the largest. In our life also it plays. We also have the same instincts, but since we have the higher reasoning capacities, the instincts, though they are playing just as much, we have something other also which is so strong. That's why it appears as if it's less, but it's not. Yes, Nilufa.
Does intellect apply to subtler areas like emotions?
It applies to emotion in what sense? It can only, it directs emotion. An animal does
Yes.
not have the power for his intellect to be directing his emotions. Whatever he feels, he's going to behave like that.
So the question is, does the term intellect apply to the subtle, or does the term intellect apply to the gross as well, which is, let's say, the physical body?
Yeah, the intellect only means discrimination. So wherever you apply discrimination, that is intellect. It
Okay,
doesn't matter where you're applying.
thank you. Thank you.
Momita, are you there?
Yeah, can you share the question and the response?
Momita, go back, Mahesh. Our system is that the monitor will read this out and then go to the question.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so the members were I, Mahesh, Bharat, and Asha. And the question was, how do we choose between two conflicting obligatory duties? We didn't arrive at a consensus because while Mahesh agreed with the parameters we listed, he did not find it applicable in practical terms as to be of help to him.
Reason. While the parameters like self-reliance, conscience, no regrets, doing both to the extent possible were agreed on, in practical terms, it seemed insufficient to answer the question. I don't understand the connection. I don't get what are parameters. How do we choose between two conflicts? Oh, are you saying these are the ways?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay, these are the ways. Okay, so maybe that's where the problem was. So these are not the ways you decide. There's one standard rule of thumb. How do we choose between two conflicting obligatory duties? Let's start with defining what is an obligatory duty. an obligatory duty. Okay, who defined obligatory duty? It's an obligatory duty.
That which
Actions
takes
that
us
get
to
us
a
to the
goal.
goal.
Which gives the goal.
Very good. That which takes us to the goal becomes a obligatory duty. So now we have to go from there. Our reasoning must follow from there. So now I have two conflicting obligatory duties. Why do I have two conflicting obligatory duties? Is it because I have two separate goals? Or is it that I have two duties to the same goal? Okay, that's the only two conditions under which conflicting obligatory duties will arise, correct? So if it is a conflict, okay. So you all discussed two roles. Is that what you all discussed? So when there's a conflict between obligatory duties or two different goals, then whichever is the higher goal.
Jankiji, sorry, but it is role, not goal.
What do you mean role? What are you talking about?
Like one was the role of a child and one was the role, another role.
So you can't ask, can you remove this now, Mahesh? You can't ask between roles because
Obligatory duties are already defined as related to the goal.
yes, correct. You already defined, right? Now, but suddenly you can't bring a role. Your question is about obligatory duties. Obligatory duties are those actions which take you to your goal. This is the standard definition. Now, if you want to have something about a role, then that's a different question. So the only way you can have contradictory obligatory duties, conflicting obligatory duties, is either there are two goals you have, or alternatively, two duties towards the same goal. So if there are two separate goals, then the goal which is the higher gets precedence at all times. For example, that there's a boy, he's looking after his parents, and an enemy country attacks, right? So now he cannot say, I will not go to the front. He's an army person, and he cannot take the stance that, oh, even though the army has been called to the front, I have to take care of my parents, or I'm getting married tomorrow, or my wife is delivering a baby, whatever his stories are, he has to go to the front and fight. Okay, so whenever there's a clash between a higher and a lower, the higher gets precedence. Number one. Number two, if there are two duties towards the same goal, that duty which will take you to the goal quicker, better, in a more stable manner, that will gain precedence.
So in the case of the person who has to take care of his parents, what if the other thing was a choice to maybe go overseas and there would be no one to take care of the parents? So is the goal that they have to become, say, an engineer, that's their goal in life, is that conflicts with the parents, then how does one decide? You just go because that's your goal?
Here there is no higher and lower, right? So when there is no higher and lower, this is where all the problems in life get generated from. People don't have a higher goal. And then they create problems for themselves and they say, how do I solve the problem? But why don't you have a higher goal? It's crazy, but okay. So now the situation is you have two goals of exactly the same level. You will have to take a call. What can anyone say on that? There are two goals of exactly the same thing. You'll have to take the call on other parameters, on some practical parameters. Okay, let's say was your look after your parents, go for studies. You can take the stance that, well, I'll look after I can take my parents there later on. I can have somebody else look after them now. I can try other methods of studying the same thing. You'll have to figure out, you'll have to do all this stuff.
Yeah, actually, the answers that were given were based on that. I mean, based on the, those were the answers. If I can just share that. I mean, so these were the example taken was of that career and parents. And so, there was like, self-reliance, you listen to your conscience, you listen to take a decision where you don't have any regrets later on. Or just, as you said, try to satisfy both to some degree. But I wanted to look, I was searching for the principle, I mean, if you, I mean, is there a principle involved?
The principles were given, but you are not willing to live by those
No,
principles.
actually, the same level obligatory duties, when they are not high, it is higher. Yeah.
Don't do these things, no.
Okay.
And you're going to have conflict. And then when you have conflict, you got to figure out what to do. It's a very, very funny way we have of living. First, we say, I'm going to do something wrong. Now that I've done something wrong, I'm going to try and do the right thing. That's crazy. The whole concept, the whole thinking from the base is incorrect. What is the base? You start with the higher object. That's the base. Now you say, I will not do that. Okay, then good. I mean, then of course it's compromise all along the way. What else will it do? I don't understand. It's like saying, I will not take care of my health. Now that I'm not taking care of my health, if I eat fruits, it's very good for my stomach, but then my diabetes goes up. Papa, why do you enter these situations? So if I don't eat the fruit, then it's not, then my stomach is in trouble. If I eat the fruit, then my sugar goes up. Now what shall I do? But why don't you look after your health to begin with? Why start wrong and then try to do something right? It's so complicated. That is why everybody's, have you seen how complicated people's lives are? Because they won't get it right from the beginning. And this question is also like that. Now let us assume that this person has nothing higher in life. Now, okay. Then we will do the best we can in that situation. What else can you do? So how are you looking for a principle? How is that even possible? Because you violated the basic principle. Yeah, Mommy. Okay, Mahesh, you have anything else? As a question or you get precedence?
Yeah, I mean, so the principle is to have a higher goal in order to take such a decision. So
the principle, the principle should be the higher the goal or the more unselfish the person, the higher, the more long-term will be the vision. That's the principle. Now you say, no, I do not want a higher goal. You cannot have long-term vision. I changed your wording because you can't say should as a principle. A principle is not a should. It just tells you a law. At least the way we are using the word principle. It's just eternal laws. You choose to ignore them, then you get into problems. So principle is not in the sense of, do this, don't do this. We don't deal with that. In Vedanta, we only talk laws, right? It's either true or it's false. It's not should or should not.
So going to study abroad, is that a higher goal or is that a...
Depends on what you're going to study abroad for. Are you doing it for the...
You've got a good opportunity to go to a very good university and you can...
Yeah, so then it's all about me, what I have got, what I hope to get. How is that higher?
Yeah, I mean, that was a whole question where you don't have a higher, but you, so the idea is to kind of work towards the higher before you take this question up or something like that. I mean, I'm not sure. Sorry.
The idea is you start life with some vision, with something higher, with something greater, with something nobler. Once you've got that in place, which 9 out of 10 people never will have in place, then everything else will find its position. But if you say, no, I will not put that in place, then yeah, you will be faced with many conundrums in life, and that's the way you have chosen it to be.
So in that case, since there is no principle or, it could be just, since both goals are not, sort of the same, they're of the same level, then it's basically what you decide based on what you, or these various other criteria, that you don't have regrets, you don't have.
No, also what is a more practical thing to do in Vedanta? I feel that so much talk and the practicalities of anything is not noticed only. There's some practical aspects in everything, right? Practical aspects too, all of that and the practical aspects, not, oh, my conscience, my regrets, but what about the practicality of it all?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Momita.
Why aren't we considering the obligatory duty towards the parents as a higher goal than the other one of getting a degree abroad in a
How can obligatory duty to your parents be higher than getting a degree? You mean that all the youngsters, whenever the parents balk at sending them abroad and all, they should stay when the parents are making a...
No. What I mean to say is, in terms of selfishness and unselfishness, it seems I totally disagree with. I mean, in fact, my suggestion would be you can easily have your parents taken care of and also go abroad to study. I don't see the conflict there. But given these two things, it would seem to me that taking care of your parents is unselfish, clearly more unselfish.
No. People have ruined their lives because they put their parents above everything. You cannot live life in so lopsided a manner. This is lopsided. This is not. How many people I know who just wreck their lives because they can't see anything beyond their parents. It is a attachment. It is the natural process that the child has to grow up and develop his own wings.
What about if it's a spouse instead of a parent or a child? In that case?
In that case, what?
It's the same?
I don't know what is the circumstance under which you're talking. I mean, when you get married to somebody, you've started a partnership with somebody, and therefore it is possible that one of them will go through some trouble, and it was the deal that whatever trouble you go through, I'm going to be with you in that. That was the deal, right? That's the promise of marriage, no? In sickness and in health, in whatever, in richness and in poverty, you can't say, oh, now you become poor, goodbye. So I don't know what you have in mind when you say this. So that is the deal. Now, suppose you say that here is this person from the army is called to the front and his wife is saying, oh, I've got 104 fever, you're not taking care of me. So, well, I'm sorry, but I have to go. They figure out what to do about you. I will do that, but I still have to go. So, higher and lower is, remember the definition of higher and lower. That which caters to a wider, what should I say, a wider circle is higher. So whether I look after my parents or I look after my career, it's both me only.
Or even my community.
No, my community is big. No?
So my family and I are the same, but it has to be bigger than that.
Yeah, my family is my family is like me only. No, what is the big difference? If I don't even love my family, then like what kind of, I'm not even a human being. So family is understood. And when you're saying you're doing for the higher, doesn't mean you're neglecting your family. That is why everybody seems to be on this trip that, oh, he worked for the country, but he neglected his son. That's bunkum. How is that even possible? I love the whole world except my family. So there's something wrong here then. If you love the whole world, your love for your family will be way greater than anybody else's love for their family. Not that you can compare like that, but What you can compare is what is the sacrifice you're willing to do for your family. So people who have expanded their ability to love more, love their families more, meaning they care more about the family and less about themselves. In the sense, they'll sacrifice their anything for the family and they'll never sacrifice anything of the family for themselves, which is what we do all the time. All the time, within the family only, if it is your wish or my wish must prevail. Whatever that wish be, to see a movie, not see a movie, to clean the house, to not clean the house, my wish must prevail. And if my wish prevails, if you let me do it, then I will simply have a moving goalpost and force you to do more things for me. So this is all madhouse, no? The total madhouse.
Actually, we went wrong from the very beginning because we did not define obligatory duties.
When you all know the definition very well.
Actually, I just realized it today now.
Oh, is it?
No, Momita, we first said that which takes you to self-realization. We should follow that.
That is not correct.
No, but here we defined it differently, as the goal.
You can't superimpose a goal on somebody. You can't tell them what takes you to the goal I want. That is your obligatory duty. Your obligatory is the goal you want. And so you must sensibly place the goal, because that's the fulcrum of your life. I mean, people say very happily, I don't have a goal. It's like saying, I have no money. I mean, they'll think I have no money and they'll get frightened. But they'll not say I have no goal and get frightened. I mean, that will never happen to anyone. Imagine they'll be panic struck if there's zero bank balance, there's no money. People will be panic struck, no? But worse than that is not having a goal. And nobody is panic struck.
Don't you have an obligation to pay back to what you have received?
Yes.
Is that also an obligation? I mean, if you...
It is.
So, I mean, in a sense, parents, is not an obligatory duty to take care of your parents because they have... So, is that also an obligatory duty as compared to, or is only the goal?
Paying back is an obligatory duty. A human being has 5 runas. Runa, you understand?
Yeah, I know
The concept of runa, right?
Yeah.
5 debts on us. The parents, the gurus, the humanity, the bhutas. It suits us completely to say, I have an obligatory duty towards my parents. What happened to all the other obligatory duties? None of them count anymore. We are very selective in what we find obligatory, whatever is convenient. 9 out of 10 times staying at home and looking after the parents is just my tamas playing. It's comfortable, right? It's very, very comfortable staying at home and not doing what you should be doing because everything is taken care for you at home. So you're very happy. You can always claim your greatness. You're taking care of your parents. Are you, or are they still taking care of you? So all this is all just stuff that we tell ourselves, We can justify anything, any amount of tamas we can justify to ourselves. Somehow we are very noble because we are very comfortable at home. We have to be honest. We have to deep dive into our own personality. We have to understand what we are really saying or doing. This path is not an easy path. It's not easy. I mean, whatever we say, whatever we do, are we really, is it 100% as good as we claim it is?
So is there gradation of levels in the 5 runas? So is the Guru, Guru Pitruruna different? All are on the same level?
All same level means depends. Now, suppose your Guru was also your parents, now it will become different, right? I mean, you can't make all these rules about these things. Depends now what, who has done for you, when, what, how much of your life is dependent on what this person has done for you. So many things are there. You can't make gradations. Nilufer, what are the other 2 deaths? Which were the first 3? Come on, who's going to tell us the 5 deaths that every human has?
Rishi, parents, humanity, Bhutas, one is missing.
And
Only 4 I recollect. The 5th one I don't know.
okay, what did you say? Let's start. Matru Devo Bhava,
Pitrudeva,
Pitru Devo Bhava,
Acharya.
Acharya Devo Bhava. So there you got 3. Then 2 more are left.
Rishi,
That you did, no? Acharya Devo Bhava.
Acharya. Okay.
Then you have Bhuta and Manushya. Bhutarun and Manusharun.
Manushya.
Right. Okay, got it, Nilufer? First one is Matru Devo Bhava.
Sorry, I need it in English, Jankiji.
Yes, just translating it. Matru Devo Bhava means parents are God. Pitru Devo Bhava refers to the ancestors, your ancestors. You owe a debt. As a Parsi, you owe a debt to the Parsi community, to your ancestors as Parsi, your Parsi ancestors, because a lot of your culture, your tradition, the language you speak, the way you behave, the food you eat, all of it is derived from your ancestors. So second debt on us is to our Pitrus, means to our ancestors. That is why you go for Mukta. That is why you go for all these things, whatever, Shraddha and all this kind of thing. You go to the Agyari for that. You're repaying the debt. With the Stooji, because somebody is also, because this is your debt to your ancestors. So much, everything about our life has come from our ancestors. Then Acharya Devo Bhava, your Guru is God. Guru is God because without education, what would we be in life? And the highest, of course, is to the Guru. That's why it's referred to as Guru, because the highest debt is to someone who teaches you about self-realization. That's your highest. But all the Gurus, and not only all your personal Gurus, all the Rishis, all the teachers, all the educators, all those who found the truths of life. Then comes your debt to humanity. A lot of the benefits that including this class, we can have this class because it's our debt to humanity. Every time we've had this online class, it's our debt to humanity. It is the collective wisdom of humanity that gives us this ability to talk to each other. I mean, everybody's in a different place, right? Somebody's at Kyrgyzstan, somebody is at Bangalore, somebody is at Delhi, somebody is at Shillong, Sikkim, right?
Dimapur.
Huh?
Dimapur. Nagaland.
Dimapur. Oh, you're back to Dimapur.
Yeah.
Someone has now moved to Dimapur. Yeah. So Dimapur. Now we are all. Of course, Mumbai. And in Mumbai, somebody is at Thana, somebody is in Andheri, somebody is in South Mumbai, all sorts of things. This is and yet we are in conversation with each other. Debt to humanity. Okay? And the 5th debt is the debt to the elements. Bhuta means the elements. That means all of nature, everything. That is why among the Zoroastrians, you have the water day and the fire day and, things like that. This is your debt to the elements. You have a day, a fasting day or the Bamman Maina and the Bamman Rose, where this is your debt. This is how you're repaying your debt. It's all, most of the ancient cultures have given us habits or rituals by which these debts are paid. So these are the 5 debt songs. We will say, I have a debt to my parents. Why? Because that is the comfortable one. No. What about all the other debts then? Okay, Nilafan?
Thanks so much, Jankiji. Perfect.
You're okay, Mahesh?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Vidushi.
Jankiji, what is Devarim then? Is that different from Bhutarim?
Can you say it again?
Sorry, I was saying, what is Devarim then? Is it different from Bhutarim?
Devarim.
Yes.
It should be the same as Bhutar. Where did you get this from? In what context?
No, the 5 deaths are generally Devarin, Rishiran, Pitrarin, Bhutarin, and Rishiran. So, which is why I was asking.
I'm not sure where you'd put Deva since you started with it. It could come under Manushya or it could come under Bhuta. Which were the other 4 you mentioned?
Deva, Nrurin, like they say Nari or Nrurin, and Pitrarin, Bhutarin, and Rishiran. I mean,
so you have Bhutarin already, right, in your list? Then this must be Manushyaran.
There's Nrurin for that.
Nrurin, okay.
Nari.
All right. Okay, so that's there too. So which one is not there?
I'm just guessing that Devarin is the phenomenal forces and...
No, but you're saying Bhutarun is there, huh? Okay, so, can you put your 5 in the chat so that I can see which 5 you have?
So I'll do it.
Yeah. You see, we have a very, very ancient culture. And so sometimes books will give you different rules. Okay, so that's fine. I mean, you can classify it in any way you like. But the idea is you have all these debts on you. So you can't say I've only debts to my parents. Okay. Then which is your 5th one? Okay, so you have, what you have done is you have got Pitrurun as
including parents.
Okay, so this is you've taken parents as Pitru. So then Deva will become Pitrurun, because Devarun in that sense becomes all the rituals associated with the culture, right? So in the way we have said it, it will become Pitru. Deva means you do all the Havan and the Yagas, and, all of that stuff will come under your Devarum in the way you have got it classified.
Thank you, Jankiji.
You can actually, some people do take Pitrurun to be the parents. That's an acceptable way of doing it. Okay. Anything else? How many groups did you all have?
Just 2.
Just 2. All right. So before we go on to what we have to do for next time, when we did the debate, there were some statements that you all made, which I didn't get a chance to talk about that time. Just to bring it up, in the against group, one of the statements was that you do the same effort and get different results. Please note that this is a false statement. There is no such thing. You cannot have the same effort and different results. It just can't be. You cannot make that statement. I know that what you mean is that both are looking like they are studying, but one did better. No. But same cause will have to give rise to the same effect. So be careful when you say things like that.
Jankiji,
Yeah.
probably I'm not very sure, but probably it meant that there was a past also associated with it. If two people are making the same effort, but depending on someone's past, and X past and Y's past will also have a
It's
impact on the
different, right? So the cause is different, therefore the result is different. You cannot have the same cause and a different result. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Then not seeing results even if there are unintended outcomes. And if binary, intelligence would be enough. If it's binary, why would intelligence be enough? And secondly, I'm trying to struggle and I wrote it so short. Not seeing results even if these are unintended outcomes. So it takes time for the results to show up. Now, about anyone has any further questions, or shall we discuss about what we have to do for next week?
Can I ask a general question?
Yes, sure.
So regarding how if you take up a higher desire, the lower falls off. But how does taking up higher desire reduce desires?
Because of the principle, quality and quantity are inversely proportional. As the quality of something improves, the quantity decreases. As quality improves, quantity decreases. So as the quality of diamonds improves, as the quality of carbon improves, becomes diamond, quantity will be less, but coal will be multiple. Managing director, one, the labor millions. Thinkers few, manual labors more. Whatever. As quality improves, quantity decreases. So when you get higher desires, they are by nature lesser in number.
That's clear. Thank you. I have some more questions. Second question is that how do we determine, because at any point in time we have both higher and lower desires. So how do we determine our spiritual level? Is it a mean or a median of our desires? How do you define?
You don't even attempt that, because that's just a sort of result oriented. It's an unnecessary emphasis on what doesn't matter. Suppose you do know your spiritual level, so what? What's the next step? Okay, I know it, now what? I pat myself on the back, I sit down and cry. What am I supposed to do? My work is not changing, right? What I need to do to achieve my ideal is not changing. So why am I concerned with where I am, how good or bad? Immaterial.
This is just to understand how varied it can be. Like, is it like how low is my lowest desire and how high is my highest desire?
You don't know that until some really horrible situation comes about. You don't know it, you don't need to know it, because every desire doesn't have to manifest before it leaves. right? Like every desire of a child for whatever toys are possible doesn't have to manifest before they become a teenager. So none of this was of any consequence.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Anything else?
Can we also take help of the personality chart where you grade your various facets of your personality, and then so you may be tamasic in one thing, but maybe sattvic somewhere else?
Yeah, you can do that. More likely than not, you'll be fooling yourself. And one way or the other, how does it even matter? Get up in the morning and study, do your karma, do your bhakti, do not believe in your goodness, and you're more or less okay.
Yeah, true.
But yes, there are, and every one of us, we need to know what our level is. If at all anything is important, is we have to know what are those characteristics which are preventing progress. Whatever my level is in. But yes, it'll be nice to know that I'm a lazy person, or I'm a overthinking person, or whatever. That is useful because I can do something with it. I have a selfish intent, even in my goodness, or I use my goodness for a selfish intent. It's a very interesting phenomenon which you, if you're careful, you will notice within yourself that when you get a good thought, you will also get the thought of how to abuse that good thought. So, you know that the nature of the mind is somehow to use our good characteristics to give something to ourselves. So, just keep generally alert. Don't have to beat yourself up, but generally alert about what is going on inside. And of course, doing our daily things.
And knowing your level and knowing your traits are different.
Yeah. Level is something that, it's difficult to tell. And which of us are going to say, I'm I'm the world's worst person. It's going to say that. And okay, even if you are, so what? Or you say, I'm the world's best person. So what? As far as your spiritual life is concerned, you're either realized or you're not realized. Now we all know we're not realized. So now what further do you want to do?
Right.
But a particular trait can interrupt your path. For instance, you may think you're very smart, and therefore you're not taking in, information from other people. Can you take other people's views and your own views at par? Absolutely at par. You will use wherever the idea comes from, yourself or anyone else. You are going to treat them in exactly the same manner. No difference. Whoever does a good thing, bad thing, so everything's at par for you. You don't see yourself in a position of authority for any reason. You don't even see yourself lower for any reason. You just, I don't know what. Just continue to live a normal life, which obviously is very tough. Don't get into hang-ups. And then I find out I have this hang-up. I have a chip on my shoulder. Wow, some people have a chip on their shoulder because they're dark, some because they're fair, some because they're rich, some because they're poor. How does any of this matter?
So identification means we are in comparative state all the time.
Yeah, and futile.
Mhm.
I mean, okay, so even if you know what of it, but if you know a trait, you can ensure that that trait is not disturbing your life because you're aware that that trait exists.
Right. Thank you.
So when we talk about all actions being determined by the goal, everything has to be determined by the goal. Now, what I want to know also is determined by the goal. Right? I want to know my level because how is this helping me reach my goal? Now, Deepraj says, no, I don't want to know my personal level. I want to know the amount of variety. That answer you already have. How much variety is possible amongst humans?
The worst sinner and the best saint.
Infinite. Anything is possible. Variety is
It
anything.
all depends on the range of your vasanas.
Yes, but the range can be anything.
Right.
There is no restriction to range. Can be anything.
The range can be anything because most of it is unmanifest.
Because you're a human being and you have choice, you can do anything.
But we still cannot go back. So
Yeah, you can. It's not that you cannot go back. It's like, why on earth would you go back? But suppose you say, I want to go back for whatever reason, and you force yourself, maybe you could. But you can't, in the sense that, I'm like, why would you? Like, you become a teenager, would you want to go back to becoming a child? In that sense. But as a human being who has Purushartha, if you can erase all your vasanas, technically speaking, you could erase all these vasanas, good vasanas which you have, and completely replace it with bad ones. As a theoretical possibility. But that is never going to happen, right? Because you do have Purushartha.
So Purushartha is to take you up higher, or it can take you down also.
Purushartha, remember, is free. It's a choice.
Right. So it can take you down also if you don't apply your intellect.
Yeah. But, applying Purushartha is not easy, right? I mean, how much you'll have to do to counter the vasanas to no point and purpose.
And also you said we cannot know where we are applying Purushartha. It is only in effect we can infer. Directly we don't know where Purushartha.
Yeah, but that is not relevant to this discussion. Here it is. The fact is, as you go forward, you can't come back. But now suppose you say you can't come back, as in there's no possibility. Well, you were realized at one point and you are back here now. So you can't say that. But yes, it makes no sense. Like, why would you put in that much effort to get worse and be more agitated? So for all practical purposes, you can't come back. You can't create desires lower than yourself. Okay, so now let us talk about what we have to do for